All right. So, Senator, I saw a list of some 22 senators that was spreading on social media that you voted against the interest of the counties. First of all, if the Commission on Revenue Allocation recommended 407 billion shillings, how did you arrive at 385 despite the recommendation from the National Treasury? What did you take into consideration to disagree with the CRA?
It's very popular to list 22 senators and say that they voted against increase of resources to the counties. That is a very popular political statement. It is unpopular, however, to justify and explain why 385 was appropriate and not 407. And I would plainly put it this way. You cannot share that which you do not have. When the chair of Council of Governors says that it's the lowest moment, they have failed to speak to the increases that were made. Remember, in the last financial year, the allocation of equity share was at 370. The current share that has been allocated under what we passed is 385 billion Kenya shillings. So, if we were then to look back and say, why would the Senate do this? There was the position taken by CRA. There were reasons they gave. The reasons we equally gave are the same reasons that CRA gave. And therefore, when they...
But arrived at a different figure.
Yes, for obvious reasons. They've just given us statistics. The national government has not released 31.4 billion for the month of February, 29.6 billion for the month of March, and 33.3 billion for the month of April. This is 94.3 billion, which is yet to be released to the county governments. Why? Because of our economic condition, and everyone knows this. The CS Treasury, the two committees relevant in the Senate have had sessions with them, and they have given justifications as to why that could not be released.
For a whole 3-4 months?
Yes, of course. We've just been told here, and you know this, Sam, that for the last 2 years, the situation in this country is terrible. The president, when he spoke the other day that we cannot borrow to pay salaries, is a testimony to the decision, which is very painful, by the way, taken, that, you know what, I'm already in a hole. Do I continue digging this hole, or I tighten the belt for a short period of time for me to be able to come out of this hole for posterity? It was a choice between two extremes. The worst extreme is continue digging the hole. The better extreme was, can I tighten this belt so that I allocate or I share that which I can be able to do it? It doesn't make sense to allow 407 when you will not remit because it doesn't exist. And that is the position that the Senate took, saying, CRA has said, they gave when you read their decision or the position they took and say, we would propose 407, they acknowledge that the first charge on every revenue for a country is on debt, whether domestic or otherwise. That is the first charge. Secondly, the rate at which they all lumped up at the point of maturing is also largely an effect on this one. And therefore, it is a choice that at least we had to make. And it's not true to say that we voted against devolution.
Once the National Treasury receives money,
yes,
pays debt, what should be the second
The first
priority?
charge is, first of all, then pay the national debt.
The second priority?
And then after that, now share what is available.
With who?
By the national government and the county government.
So how is it that the national government is getting its share, but the counties are not?
No. It's not that the national government is getting its share. When we say first charge on revenue is paying the debts, that debt, remember, is not only by the national government. Whatever is even being paid out is what was remitted in the previous financial year to the county governments. And that is what informed this decision. When you hear governors saying that we ought to have been given 407, they are not telling us the fact that we have an increase from 370 to 385. They are not telling us that the financial year 2022, 2023, no, 2021, 2022, and 2023, 2024 has got now the outstanding deficits, which we are struggling to pay right now. They are not telling us that we have national debt that
so
the government
I get you.
Pushing.
I get you that you're saying the reason is because we can't afford 407, but we can afford 385.
Yes.
But because the current financial year, we can afford 370, based on what Parliament passed in the previous session.
Yes.
How then do you explain to Kenyans that it is only once, the month of March, that the national government staff have gone without a salary, but the counties for a whole 4 months, they haven't received the resources? What explanation are you getting from the National Treasury? And
this is one of the reasons why that decision had to be taken, however hard or unpopular it was. Do not borrow to pay salaries. For how long will you borrow? If I delay for 1 week, every amount that I will be looking out for is towards this payment. If I pay, I borrow, I'm digging that hole, which is the basis of this decision. The 385 sum complies with the requirement of the Constitution. The Constitution, Article 203 says you must do that which is beyond 15% of the latest audited national revenue. This amount of 385 is 23.3%. So we're not being told the positives of the allocation. And that is why I was saying it's very popular and politically correct to say we fought against devolution. We did not do it. We were dealing with the reality. It doesn't make sense, as I said, to allocate 407 when you cannot remit even 385. It's foolhardy of even the government and even the Senate in itself to do it. And so we are being realistic in the decision that you are making so that you can meet the demands of what the law requires you to do.
Senator, that audited accounts, that's your addition. It's not in the Constitution.
No.
It is not.
I mean, the last audited accounts.
That's what I'm saying.
Not the last audited accounts, revenue.
Yeah, it is about, the Constitution talks about for every financial year, the equitable share of the revenue raised nationally that is allocated to county governments shall not be less than 15% of all revenue collected by the national government.
That is exactly what I've just said.
You said last audited?
No.
Which can be lower?
It can be lower, yes. And actually, that's the statistics that the CRA were giving, the Council of Governors were giving. Remember, we also dealt with the budget policy statement that had captured all those, including the county, the national financial fiscal program, currently, in future, and previously.
Okay.